Hello everyone, I welcome you to the revolutionary session on how to speak English fluently. I'm calling this session revolutionary because after this session, your perspective to see the English communication will change completely. I am Anu Shahane and I'm your host for this session. A person who's not able to speak English fluent means he takes unnecessary pauses while speaking. Person takes unnecessary pauses because he's nervous or he's not sure what to say or he doesn't know what to speak. So this act of pausing before saying something, especially if you are nervous or not certain what to say or don't know what to speak, is called hesitation. So if you avoid hesitation, we'll be able to speak English fluently. In my career, I worked for more than 10 years in multinational companies like TCS, Ocwin Financial Corporation, Aviva UK Insurance. While working there, I had to interact with onshore client day in, day out. For those who don't know who are onshore client, I'll tell you, these are US UK people. So through close interaction with them, I found the reason why we people are not able to speak English fluently. I was also able to find out the exact methodology these US UK people use so that they speak English fluently. More specifically, I found the four reasons for hesitations and their solution. Let's check one by one in detail. Before we proceed, I would like to make you a request. The next 70 minutes are very important, so please declutter your mind and avoid all sorts of distraction. I also request you to put your mobile on silent mode. I hope you have already done it. This slide will show you the first reason for hesitation. Please read and try to understand it carefully. Here we go. Non-fluent speakers are in the habit of composing spoken English by using written English methodology. This causes hesitation and makes the speaker falter. Here, falter means pause between speech or stopping of speech. There are two sides of English language. One is written side and another is the spoken side. And both these sides are different. Written English is composed in one way and spoken English is composed in another way. And both these ways are different. But we non-fluent speaker don't know how spoken English is to be composed. Hence, we compose spoken English in a way written English is composed. In short, we use the written English methodology to produce spoken English. And this causes hesitation and makes the speaker falter. Why does this happen? I mean, why non-fluent speaker uses a written English methodology to produce spoken English? Let's check. As I told you, language has two sides. One is spoken side, another is written side. So when we were children, what did we learn first? Did we learn to speak our mother tongue or did we learn to write our mother tongue? Obviously, first we learn to speak our mother tongue. And few years later, we learn to write our mother tongue. So child first learn how to speak language and few years later, he starts to learn how to write language. And this is the natural process of language acquisition. And this is what we all are following since ancient time. From this fact, one thing is clear that spoken stage of language comes before the written stage. So speech and writing are two different things and aren't to be looked at or learned in the same way. Let's see some basic difference between speech and writing. Spoken English produced under different conditions than the conditions under which written English is produced. For example, when we write, we have enough time to think before we write. But when we speak, we have less than a second or two to think before we speak. Another difference is while we write sentences, we could edit the sentences. I mean, we can change the grammatical arrangement, wording, sequences of sentences. But same is not possible when we speak. Written English contains large percentage of complex and compound sentences, but spoken English contains large percentage of simple short sentences. Because of this difference, spoken English has to be produced in a different way. That is, in a way quite different from the way the written English is produced. But we people don't know the correct way to compose speech. Hence, unknowingly we use written English methodology to compose speech. And the result of this is we always try to speak the way we write. And we try to speak by trying hard, by following the principles of grammar and its uses as applied to writing. When real fluent speakers speak, they apply principles of grammar and its uses in a way that is different from the way they apply those principles when they write. And apart from this, spoken style has so many tools and conventions of its own. As speaking is more fundamental than writing, these tools and conventions are derived from spoken style and not from the written style. Question remains the same. How can we avoid the hesitation caused by reason number one? Here is the answer. Get out of written English track and get into the spoken English track. So how can we get out of written English track and get into the spoken English track? Here is the solution. Learn to apply principles of grammar and its uses in a different way from the way it is applied while writing. And learn tools and conventions of spoken English style. Let's move to the second reason for hesitation and its solution. My question to all of you, do you understand English? I mean, when your boss or teacher speaks or interviewer asks you questions or when you watch YouTube, do you understand their English? Obviously, the answer is yes. It means you know enough words to understand spoken English. It means you have enough vocabulary to understand spoken English. Most of the people who are graduate know enough words to understand spoken English. Believe me, even a student who has completed high school knows all the common words we use in everyday spoken English. But the irony of case is, even postgraduate people who have enough stock of vocabulary aren't able to speak fluent English. The question is, if you have enough stock of vocabulary, why can't we speak fluent English? And here is the cheap reason. A person who can understand English when someone speaks English, but is not able to speak fluently, means he is a master of recognition of vocabulary. Means he can recognize the words and their meaning when someone speaks English, but he hasn't mastered the speech production vocabulary. Now, what is speech production vocabulary? A speech production vocabulary is a vocabulary which helps us to produce speech often without prior preparation. So, to generate speech as much as you want, you must master the speech production vocabulary. If you are working hard to master the speech production vocabulary, but still we are not fluent, means we are not using the correct technique to master the speech production vocabulary, or the technique we are using are not adequate enough to master the speech production vocabulary. So the second reason for hesitation is the lack of mastery of speech production vocabulary. And the solution for this is master the speech production vocabulary. Now, guys, let's move to the third reason for hesitation and its solution. To understand third reason for hesitation and its solution, let's check some examples. On screen, you will see some sentences. So how do you pronounce these sentences? Usually, non-fluent speaker pronounce these sentences like this. She is more clever than him. I am going to college. There is an elephant in the garden. I ate an apple and two pears. These are the best tomatoes in the market. So they pronounce sentence word by word. And this is how they speak, pronouncing their speech word by word. Let's see how native English speaker pronounce these sentences. The pronunciation of this sentence will become, she's more clever than him. Now in this sentence, can you figure out which word is most important? It's clever, right? So this word is also called content word. So the content word clever should be pronounced more loudly, clearly, and slowly than rest of the words. So the final pronunciation of this sentence will become, she's more clever than him. Let's take another example. I am going to college. This will be pronounced as, I am going to college. In this sentence, there are two important words. That is content words, going and college. Hence, these words should be stressed. That is, should be pronounced more loudly, clearly, and slowly than rest of the words. So the final pronunciation of this sentence will be heard like this. I am going to college. And this is how you should pronounce your speech. Let's check few more examples. There is an elephant in the garden. I ate an apple and two pears. These are the best tomatoes in the market. And this is how the native English speakers speak English. For better understanding, let's watch this video clip. This clip will show you how native English speakers pronounce their speech. Here we go.
You're gonna now realize what kind of date you're in.
Really? What in God's name made you think that?
How much of their data do you have?
How do you know anything about the data? Who are you? You work with them, right?
I just saved you, didn't I? Trust me, they're the last people I would work with.
I have people at my house somehow, God knows how, firing guns at me, trying to kill me, and I'm supposed to just trust you? What were you doing there anyway? How did you even get in my house?
I know what I'm about to tell you is going to be really hard for you to understand given everything that you've been through, But I need you to believe me, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. Your father sent me.
So guys, did you observe how native English speakers speak? Here is an important takeaway from all this information. When native English speakers speak, most of the time they do not pause between words. Most of the time they pronounce whole sentence, phrase as one continuous sound. In sentence and phrase, they pronounce important word more loudly, clearly, and slowly than rest of the words. Due to this, a sort of rhythm is observed while native English speakers speak English. Let's call this particular rhythm as English rhythm. So if you want to be fluent in English, you should also speak English without pause between words. You should also most of the time try to pronounce sentences and phrase as one continuous sound. You should also pronounce an important word more loudly, clearly, and slowly than rest of the words. In short, as long as possible, you also need to speak English with such particular rhythm. The question may come to your mind, why there is necessity to copy paste the rhythm of English people? So here is the answer. A person speaking with English rhythm more likely sound natural and fluent. When we speak with flat rhythm, we put an equal amount of stress on each word. After producing few sentences, because of the stress, a pressure starts to build up on our of speech. Due to this pressure, our focus shifts from what to say to how to say it. That is, our focus shifts from content of speech to the delivery of speech. And the result of this is we falter. When you speak with English rhythm, you do not stress each and every word. So your ounce of speech get relief while you speak continuously. In this sense, speaking with English rhythm reduces pressure on your ounce of speech. When I did further research, I found that this rhythm helps English speech to keep up its equilibrium and maintain speech balance. Thus, the rhythm itself prevents your speech from faltering. Another benefit is you will get rid of MTI. MTI is mother tongue influence. This is the main reason you will get rejected in your interview if your job role is to communicate with onshore client. Moreover, English rhythm stands you out from rest of the group who do not speak with this particular rhythm. And ultimately, this helps to boost your confidence. So guys, did you understand the importance of speech rhythm? Until now, you are speaking with flat rhythm. But mind you, flat rhythm will not make you true fluent. If you want to achieve true fluency, you need to learn to speak English with this particular rhythm. So what is third reason for hesitation? It is not speaking with English rhythm. And the solution for this is speak English with particular rhythm. That is English rhythm. Now let's see last reason for hesitation. It's native hesitations. Yes, you heard right. It is native hesitations. Actually, there are two types of hesitations. One is foreign hesitations. Only non-native English speaker face this problem. Foreign hesitation can be avoided by applying solution number 1, 2, and 3 we discussed just now. Another type of hesitation is native hesitations. Native hesitation is faced by both native and non-native speaker. There are 7 reasons for native hesitations. For the sake of understanding, we'll see one reason among them. Here we go. Speaker has particular thought, idea, or feeling in his mind, but the right word or phrase to express idea may not occur to him readily. I mean to say, he knows the word or phrase, but he doesn't get that word or phrase on his tip of tongue readily. Or he doesn't know word or phrase to express his idea. See people, such situations occur every now and then. Such situations may occur even if you have mastered the speech production vocabulary. See guys, speaking is a complex process. While speaking, we are occupied with many things. Like we need to decide content of speech. We need to decide words or phrases of speech. We need to make grammatical arrangement of speech. We also need to consider listeners' point of view. We need to check whether listeners are able to understand our content. So while dealing with all these things, it does happen that we come across such problem. Now question is how to deal with this problem of hesitation. As I told you, this problem is also faced by native English speaker, and they have their own ways to deal with this problem. While working with US UK people, I used to closely observe them, and I found their ways to deal with this problem. Let's check. Native English speaker adopts particular mindset to deal with such problem of hesitation. As far as the mindset is concerned, when we face such problem, we people start to become nervous. But when same problem is faced by native English speaker, they hardly become nervous. Let me prove my point with this video clip. In this clip, I'm showing you how native English speaker faces problem of hesitation. I want you to count how many times actors face this problem. Here we go.
Harry Potter,
Totally.
isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it unlocks for people something from their childhood, something that feels so deep inside them, and like something that they've always known. It has a level of familiarity that is just so intense and special. When I talk about prep and whatever else, it was like in the build up to the movie, I really felt the pressure of that, not just from me loving those films, but knowing how much this character means to so many people.
What was it you didn't want to change?
I hope you have counted how many times the actress faced this problem of hesitation. As I observed, she faced this hesitation problem 5 times in just 30 seconds of speech. Did you observe, even for a single moment, if she was sort of nervous while dealing with this problem? I'm sure she wasn't. So, native English speaker hardly become nervous while dealing with hesitation. So, we need to study their mindset in detail and adopt their mindset to deal with hesitation. Then only we can give flow to our speech. Along with this, native English speaker uses conventional tools and techniques to deal with such problems. And they use these tools and techniques since their childhood. And these tools and techniques they derive from their spoken English methodology. So, solution to this problem is adopt native English speaker mindset and learn their tools and technique to deal with native hesitation. With this, we have covered all the 4 reasons for hesitations and their solutions. Here is the consolidated list of all these 4 solutions. I believe if you implement these solutions, you will be able to speak English fluently. If you think the same, you can contact us to know how to implement these solutions in detail. To stay in tune, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you for attending the session.